I'm not about to make promises that I'm pretty sure I can't keep, so I'm not going to say that this is going to be under an hour long because it's me we're talking about here, but I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can. But yes, Haslab Victory Saber. I actually just got this guy after the cutoff date for my top 10 of 2023 video because I passed on this guy. I mentioned this in a couple of other videos, but because this is the one actually on Victory Saber, I'll say I passed up on this guy initially because I didn't really have a connection to Star Saber or Victory Saber when the Haslab originally happened. Then I was kind of feeling the FOMO and wanted to get one after the fact, and then was seeing all the QC issues, so I was kind of like, you know what, I'll pass. Especially at the aftermarket prices of like $300, $350, $400, $500. Like, no thank you. But then Deathsaurus happened, and clearly, I got Deathsaurus because I have a video on him. And I like Deathsaurus enough that I was like, I kind of really wish I had gotten Star Saber. And as luck would have it, shortly after that, Hasbro did their, or rather, Hasbro Pulse did their Vault sale. And I lucked out. I was actually able to get a Victory Saber through that. Not sale, but like it was the Vault sale where they like put some old Haslab projects up for sale at the regular MSRP. And yeah, I lucked out and was actually able to secure a Victory Saber, as you can see. And it's been good so far. I haven't had any of the major QC issues that other people had with the initial runs. This is from the second batch. The main way I could tell is because when they were packaged, they had little like plastic protector things over the chrome chest pieces so that the chrome didn't get all scratched up in transit. But yeah, no real major QC issues. There are a couple of things that's more like design flaws, which I'll get into when they come up, if I can remember. But yeah, it's been cool, and I think it was. I may have actually cut the I may have cut the whole thing out of the collection tour video that I shot. But basically, my opinion on Victory Saber is Victory Saber is very good. Does not hold a candle to Deathsaurus, but it's kind of like, Victory Saber crawled so that Deathsaurus could walk, or Victory Saber walked so that Deathsaurus could run. However you want to look at it. Basically, this is a good set, but it has been eclipsed by Deathsaurus, but then Deathsaurus is like the new one. They learned from a lot of what happened with this, and yeah, also Star Saber, Victory Saber does a lot more. So there is that to consider. So with all that said and done, you may notice Victory Leo's guns and wings are lopsided. That's because these on this side is the original stuff that came with it, and this side is the DNA upgrade kit. Because yes, I got the DNA upgrade kit. I also actually have the longer sword blade for the sword, which I will get to when we get into stuff later. But it has nowhere to store in any of these modes, so that's why it's off to the side. And I also have the alternate faceplate, which I have not installed because I honestly prefer the original faceplate better. But I wanted to do this so everyone who was curious could see the difference between the original and DNA upgrades. So now let's start talking about stuff, and let's get the absolute worst part of this whole thing out of the way. I would do a humorous swear to describe this stuff and do like the editing a duck quack bleep over it like I've done in the past, but I don't really put anywhere near as much effort into editing these days because I hate it. So we're just going to go right to Fire and Holi because everyone knows these suck. And that might be a little overly aggressive, but they're not good. Like, Fire does not, like, the arms do not stay pegged in. It's really easy to bump them out of place. Like, they don't peg in. It takes barely anything to nudge that arm out of place. The ladder doesn't straighten out all the way. I have it extended because it's kind of annoying to get out of there. Like, ladder doesn't go down all the way. Holi is just the worst. Not just because of the whole, police theming thing, but also because the legs, I'm not entirely sure it's possible to transform this thing into robot mode from vehicle mode without the legs popping off. I'll try, we'll see, but I don't know. But yeah, these are not great. They do not hold a candle to Peepo and Boater. I had my issues with Boater's extremely basic deco, and I still do, and I'm still looking forward to a Reaper Labels set, but Peepo and Boater run circles, multiple circles, around both of these Micromasters. So let's start with Fire, and Fire is this really disappointing fire truck that pretty much has no paint on it whatsoever. There's just the little windows in front, and that's about all you get. And it is extremely basic. The molding's there, but it's just a repaint, recolor of an existing Micromaster. The ladder, as you can see, rotates, can go up and down here, and then this can go up and down, and it just kind of folds in. And I'm just going to leave that in now, but like that's how that works. It's not great, but it does transform. I'm actually going to rotate this to the side. So you transform it by rotating the ladder out of the way because you need to get these little things out of here. And then these straighten out. I will say, Fire doesn't have the leg popping off problem to the extent that Holi does. So there's that. Anyway, these fold in and the arms just come down. But like they don't really peg in, so they're extremely easy to pull down. And this, on one of the Micromasters that this is derived from, you can like angle the, it's actually like a gun. You can angle it over the head. Fire can't really do that because of how it's all put together, but you can kind of do this, or you can just rotate it down like that. And yeah, there's Fire. Fire has barely any paint, or I mean, I guess maybe this is like white plastic or red plastic that's been painted white. So they painted the chest white. Cool. And they painted the underpants blue, the fists blue, and then you got the head. But like, there's practically no paint on this thing. It's actually more disappointing than, yeah, they painted the underpants blue. It's kind of more disappointing than Boater in terms of deco, because at least with Boater, you knew where the paint was going. And the paint on the chest, it's like they painted a section of the chest, not the entire chest, because this is just kind of a boring deck. This is a boring deco. And the figure is fine. It's, you know, as far as robot modes go, it's fine. It's the same as whatever the other versions of this mold are. I forget the names. You get the ball jointed arms that can go out a little bit, can rotate. You can kind of shift up and down. You got the ball jointed hips that can go forward and back a bit. And you can see these aren't popping off all that well, so that's good. Can go out a bit, forward, back, that kind of thing. You got knees, and that's pretty much it for this guy. Disappointment, particularly like the fact that he doesn't hold together in vehicle mode, but it's fine for what it is. Also, the head, I'm pretty sure the head rotates. I'm not going to try to force it because of the angles involved, but yeah, let's say there's a head rotation. But this is just a really lackluster deco. There's, you know, no worthwhile paint, and the paint that is there may as well not be for how bland it all is. But hey, the legs stay on. Holi. Well, there's definitely more paint on Holi, more obvious paint, like the black on the hood and the doors, and the blue on the windows, and the red on the light bar. And it's just a car. Yeah. And transforming Holi is you just undo the legs and rotate them out. I'm trying to be extremely careful because this is where the legs come off. It looks like I may have actually done it, though. I think I actually was able to transform Holi without the legs popping off. That is the first time since I got this set that I've been able to do that. And then this hinges back. And in addition to hinging back, there's a little bit more of a hinge there. So you kind of want to hinge this up and back, like so. And then you can just unpeg the arms and they come out. And there we've got Holi. And Holi, visually, I think, is more interesting deco-wise than Fire. Like, Fire is extremely plain. Holi is still plain, but you get a bigger patch of blue on the white on the legs. You've got the blue torso is just one solid thing of blue surrounded by white, but you've got this yellow in the center mixing it up, silver on the face. I just feel like the color and deco placement on Holi is better than Fire. Unfortunately, though, Holi does have that issue where if you're not careful with the legs, they will come off. Oh, they're actually. Why are these? That's weird. These could not wait to pop off when I was messing around with this set initially. Oh, okay, there we go. Try to use the thigh swivel and it comes right out. Yeah, well, the knee swivel. Jeez, there it goes again. The knee swivel, and it comes right out. There is actually, because the knees are ball jointed, you can swivel there, but that like really likes to come off. Okay, well. There you go, you can see it now. So yeah, Holi kind of sucks. Arms can go up and down and in and out. The head does rotate. Yay! Yeah, I don't really care for these guys that much. I definitely, even with my issues with Boater, I feel like, as I said, Peepo and Boater are way better Micromasters. Not just by virtue of the fact that they're new molds, but they're just done better. Now, let us real quick look at the very large spaceship thing that will eventually attach to Saber's vehicle mode. And this is, as you can see, it's on the stand. Okay, I do want to talk about the stand real quick. The stand is, I understand people not being thrilled about it being clear plastic. Or translucent plastic. I get that. And I don't like translucent plastic either. I definitely think this would have been better if it wasn't translucent plastic. But I'm actually genuinely surprised with how dense and sturdy this feels. Like, it's still translucent plastic, so I still kind of want to be careful with it, but it feels nice. Like, there is some wobble to it when you put the V-Star, the big ship on this, especially if you attach Victory Leo in ship mode and do like the whole big ship thing. Like, this will wiggle back and forth, but like, it feels very sturdy. This feels like almost closer to like, it's hard to say. It's like a more solid Tupperware plastic, if that makes any kind of sense. Like, all the little bits feel thicker. It feels more sturdy. So I'm actually less concerned about using this stand as I initially was when I was, before I got this thing, because this actually does feel pretty nice and solid. And it does look good. I like the blue with the yellow double V and the red Autobot logo. This in particular pops really nice. The red, it seeps in with the blue a little bit, but like, it's fine. It also pops with the yellow nicely, but yeah, it's cool. I like the stand for what it is. And this is very similar, if not exactly the same as Deathsaurus's stand, in that the it slides in here like this or like this, and you've got a peg here for the robot mode, small peg here for like other figure stand type stuff, and there's a thing that is connected to the bottom of the big spaceship thing that allows this to kind of sit over here like an adapter. And that piece is just right here. It just cups him ever so gently. And then this pops into here. It's like a hex shape, so you don't want to twist it, but it just slides on, and there you go. There you've got the stand. And here you can see some of that wobble, but again, like, this feels sturdy enough that I don't feel like it's brittle and gonna snap. Anyway, let's get this over here for now. And yeah, this thing is kind of a mess, but like, it's supposed to be. I do like that they let you use the shield back here to kind of fill in this gap, because without the shield, it's a little bit like, eh. But I appreciate being able to use the shield. There's a little peg here and a peg hole on the back here, and so you just pop that together, and the shield is shaped in just the right way that it kind of fits over the greebling back here, which is also really cool. So yeah, that's nice. You got the silly little Star Saber helmet on top, acting as like a turret. It can't rotate like this due to the way it attaches, but you can go up and down if you want. And then also I've plugged in the smaller gun over here. I think this might actually go to Victory Leo, but oh well, it's on this now. But yeah, this looks fine for what it is. It's an incomplete portion. We need to slap this in there, so we'll, not going to spend too much time on it. But main thing that bugs me about this, that bugs everyone about this, is all the screw holes. Like, you've got ports, but you also have screw holes, and it's just kind of unsightly. I do kind of wish maybe it came with like screw hole covers or something. It also disappoints me that DNA, when they did their upgrade kit, didn't include screw hole covers, because that seems like it would have been obvious. But oh well. And then on the underside, it's just very blatantly Star Saber doing a really awkward stretch. But that is how all of that looks, and we'll talk more about this once we actually get Saber's vehicle mode attached to it. Speaking of, here we have Saber's vehicle mode, and this is a pretty neat little spaceship thing. You can also see by the gold chrome up here, it's pretty okay. There is, I think the fingerprinting on this is just from me, but no scratching because it used the protectors in the box, which is good. But yeah, I think the shape and coloring is nice. I like the way that the red gets broken up by some white, some of this gunmetal, the gold, some black and yellow, and of course the blue cockpit. That stands out really nicely. On the underside, you've got kind of an obvious robot all scrunched up, but that's still fine. And yeah, it's a good-looking vehicle. Little boosters on the back. For what it is, I think this is pretty neat. There is no stand port that I can see on the underside, so I don't think you can use this with the flight stand, or the display stand, but oh well. Now, I'm gonna open this, which is a little tricky. I don't want to go too hard on it because this red is paint, so I'm just gonna pull out the spudger, and it's not pegged in super hard, so it's not difficult to get this unpegged, but like I just don't want to be scratching at the red paint to try and get it open, But if we open this up, oh, there we go. This wasn't pegged in all the way. We've got the very tiny Brainmaster, I guess. I think. And I mean, so small. Everyone who has this guy has commented on how small he is. And he is very small. This thing is so tiny. But I can appreciate just how much effort went into painting this thing. Like, there is more paint on this than there is on Fire. Or at least it feels like there is. Like the red on the toes, the blue thighs, the red and white mixture in the torso, and then the little gold on the chest that absolutely mirrors the gold here. I think that's cool. And then the little bitty face that I can't tell if it's painted. I don't think it is, but it's really hard for me to tell. But yeah, teeny tiny head, and then bigger head on the back. We will deal with that in a minute, but we're going to get this guy back into a little sitting pose. As you can see, the articulations just move the legs forward, and the arms are on ball joints at the shoulder. So you get a little bit of posability with this guy. But anyway, bring this back in, drop him in there, close the cockpit, and there we go. Now we're going to bring back the whatever this big amalgamation is, and we are going to attach this. So, to do that, we are going to actually just do a size comparison for this on its own real quick. Here's this. Here's a deluxe. This is vaguely deluxe size. A little bit bigger in some ways, a little bit smaller in others. So yeah, that's how that shakes out. Now, to attach this, I'm going to fold up the wings, but not all the way, just up like that. And take the tail fins, both tail fins, this, and fold them down. Then take this and open up these gray bits. And I'm going to slide this in, and there are these little notches on either side of the chest that will kind of clip over these bits on either side here. That's primarily how this locks in. And it's a little bit involved, but it's doable. And also there is a little divot down here. I believe this little catch needs to go into that divot. So I kind of want to angle it so that it can find that little peg divot thing. And you just kind of have to feel it. And then this will slide back and click up. And I'm going to rotate that out of the way. So slide back and click up. Click up. See, this is why it's a little bit unnerving. You got to do this blind. Okay. All right. Victory Leo's in my way. I'm going to get all this off of here so that I can get a slightly better angle on it. And now I'm going to try also pushing this button, because pushing this button on the back makes this shift a little bit. So I'm going to push that in, bring this in, and try and get that lined up, and then click this in. Well, nope. See, this is, I don't know why this is so difficult. I've got to be missing something. I'm sure there are people who are more familiar with this thing that are screaming at the screen like, what are you doing? Oh, there we go. And that was super easy that time. I don't know. Maybe I was trying to push it down too far. I don't know. But once it's in place, you can fold these doors in, and you'll know it's in place fully when these doors both sit like this. If one side is off, then the door's not going to close all the way. But there we go. There is the V-Star jet, I believe, all combined up. I'm going to bring this back and peg that in. And yeah, this is silly, but it looks a lot better with this on the front. Now it at least has something for someone to, a spot for someone to drive it. I do think that the added color up in the front here helps a lot because from here down, it's just pretty much white and blue, primarily white. Even with the shield. The shield does help, but it's still very plain. So this is doing a lot of work. But pretty nice, pretty hefty. There are these little landing struts that I have folded out that aren't really mattering because of the stand thing here, but those in conjunction with these bits on the back, when this stand piece isn't here, allows it to sit down on the ground without needing to worry about why is this turned? Okay. Without needing to worry about any of the paint down here scraping anything, because these yellow struts are yellow plastic. They're not painted. So yeah, there we have what I think is called the V-Star jet. And it's decent enough for what it is. I find it enjoyable in Transformers, in particular Victory, was a little bit silly. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way again, and we're going to take a look at Victory Leo's vehicle mode. And again, I have the regular stuff on this side, DNA on this side, to give you all an idea of what that's like. And if we wanted to, we could also peg this gun in any place there's like a port for it. So we can give Victory Leo an additional gun if we want. But anyway, this is a freaking mess. This is just a box with wings. I do think it's funny because this is how he looks. It's just how the toy was designed originally, and I believe in the cartoon it was actually not exactly like this, but close. It's silly, it's ridiculous, but I actually do appreciate it for what it is. The colors are nice enough. The gun being on top definitely helps, though, because if we pop this off, it's just pegged in a couple of places. This bit here pegs over a tab right here, and this squarish collection of tabs goes into this little spot on the underside here. So that pegs in there, and that tab's in there, and that holds this in place. But without the big gun on there, which I think is called the V-Lock cannon, it's even more just a box with wings on it, and the wings are wildly different sizes because of the way I decided to do this. Now, something that I do personally with the DNA upgrade wings is I actually prefer to do the wing width a little bit differently, because obviously you get an additional segment with the DNA kit, and this is like these two segments come in the kit, so this is entirely new. It's basically you pop this off and then you pop the two additional segments on in its place. But what I like to do for the vehicle and Victory Leo's robot mode, and the lion mode too, is just fold this one in, and that way you get a slightly shorter wing. And yeah, it's folded on top, but I feel like having the different wing lengths actually works for the different modes, because then you can kind of reserve the biggest, widest wingspan for the Victory Saber combination. Also, you may notice these don't sit exactly straight. It is what it is, but that's just, for whatever reason, the DNA upgrade kit doesn't want to sit straight. The original also doesn't really seem to sit entirely straight, so there's that. For some reason, this section likes to come untabbed, just this side. This side, it stays in better, but there's a little tab here, right in here, that tabs into the wing, and it just, this side in particular, it likes to pop out. Very annoying. Or not very annoying, but it's a little annoying. But anyway, that is that. It's got an upside down lion head on the back, which the gun hides better, and that is how all of that goes. Now, actually, before we do the combination, let's do some size comparisons, because I feel like there's so many things. I mentioned at the beginning that Victory Saber does a lot more than Deathsaurus, and that is true. So I'm going to put Victory Saber's vehicle mode down here. Let's pull this out a little bit more. Try and figure out how to place this so that everything can kind of show up. I'm going to have to go through the vehicles separately because they're just so big. But you can already see that Victory Leo's vehicle mode is pretty large. I mean, the wingspan is doing a lot of the work, but it's a big vehicle mode. Yeah. And what the heck, let's bring in Fire and Holi to show them off. And if you want to know how big their vehicle modes are compared to all of this, oh, there's Peepo. They're roughly the same size. So there you go. Yeah. And let's bring in the shuttle thing. Actual Star Saber's vehicle mode. Excuse me, Leo. Bring this in here, and let's just move everyone over to make more space. there is the big spaceship thing with everything else, and as you'd expect, is kind of large. Now, we of course have to do another size comparison before we get to the most important one, because I both feel the need to show off and also feel like this is the kind of comparison that people want to see when it comes to Victory Saber or Star Saber currently, and that is with Deathsaurus. So here's how the two of them shake out together. Deathsaurus's alt mode is definitely bigger, but Deathsaurus is also self-contained, so that is worth keeping in mind. And nope. Hang on. Just gonna almost forgot, but I'm gonna bring Victory Leo back in here. So there is Victory Leo with Deathsaurus, and then let's get Deathsaurus out of here. Bring back Victory Saber, or Victory. I keep saying Victory Saber, Star Saber. It's not Victory Saber yet. So, Star Saber. And for our most important of size comparisons, here they both are with the Duck Tank. But we're not quite done yet, because we still have to do the combination between these two. So for Star Saber, I'm going to just pop the shield off for now, and take this blue panel and pop it up and off, or up and forward, like so. And this is one of the design issues on mine that isn't, it's not terrible, but it's kind of annoying. This panel just does not like to stay pushed closed. This one is okay, but this one does not like to stay closed in vehicle mode. It's fine in robot mode for the most part, but in vehicle mode, it's just like, nah. But anyway, that is that for now. For the shield, we're going to take this gray piece, which does store on the shield, but we're going to pop that off because we're going to need space. And this will just stay over here for now. And now for Victory Leo, I'm just going to pop off the cannon. And I believe that's all we need to do. So we're going to pop off the cannon, move these cannons up, and you can see that both the original and the DNA kit cannons have this extra hinge here, so you can hinge the cannon up and down. It is tighter on the DNA kit, though, so that's something worth mentioning. This is kind of easy to bump down. The DNA kit, it does a lot stiffer. Anyway, I'm going to nudge the line head back a little bit too. Now, I'm going to open up this section and just bring it out a little bit so that we can flip these little loopy things inside and then close this back up. That's all we got to do there. And now we bring this over. And this connects to this. And what happens is these tabs up here slide down into, zoom in a bit, slide down through this channel and go into these slots here. Then what'll happen is this panel will come down and these bits here will then clip into these red sections on the front of Victory Leo. And getting this set up is fine. It's taking it apart that's a little bit tricky. But all you got to do is kind of line these up with those channels, pull the sides of Star Saber's vehicle mode out just a little bit. There's a little bit of flex, but it's fine. They're on joints. And just keep slowly pushing this down until they find those slots, and it should peg right in. And with that done, now this can come down and plug in to the red clips, and that sits together very snugly. And we can even bring the shield back and plug that back in place to cover things up a bit more back there. And we can bring down the cannons, bring the V-lock cannon out and transform it so that there is a peg now, and then plug that, push that up a little bit for room, peg that there if we want. So now he's got big gun, and can peg this over here if we want. And here we've got whatever this enormous combination is. And this, if you plug it in this way, which seems to be the default way that people go, you'll notice it's fine. Okay, never mind. So, okay, if you have Star Saber plugged in without Victory Leo, then if you're pointing this way with like the arm going this way, then it will kind of pull down here a little bit, and this bit will kind of pop up. But Victory Leo adds enough weight that it balances it out a lot better, and you can also see how wobbly this is. But again, the clear plastic, as disconcerting as it is actually pretty sturdy. Now let's see if that weight distributes as well going this way. Okay, here you can kind of see how it's down there. It's like kind of going up. This is not something I would recommend doing, like not leaving it on display like that. But it's still cool because this is a hex-shaped connection, you can actually connect things so that it's like at an angle. Though again, because of the weight, you got to be careful because, oh boy, it is weighty. Now with all this connected, I'm gonna, since I made things harder for myself, I'm gonna take this off, which is a little bit difficult to do. Let's see if I can spudger it off. I just want to remove this. Okay, we'll deal with that later. It's pegged in there a little too good. So, oh, actually forgot to flip Victory Leo's head back up. But yeah, so we've got that. I'm just gonna put this back on the stand, and we're gonna use the stand to do our size comparisons, I think, because I can't get the display stand adapter thing off of it. Pull that down so we can get a little closer to the backdrop. And yeah, this is very big when it's fully combined. So there we've got Deathsaurus, who is, I feel like bulk-wise, this is about even. This might actually be a little bit heavier. Yeah, this is heavier because it's, technically 4 figures, but really it's like 2 or 3 together. But still pretty dense, roughly equivalent mass. Going back to the default size comparisons, here we've got all of these. And I mean, really, it doesn't make the ship that much bigger. It just makes the back a little bit longer. But there's how that all shakes out. And then, after all of that, we can finally do the last of our vehicle mode size comparisons and see it with the duck tank. 40 minutes in, and I'm only just now getting to transform the vehicles. My goodness, why does anyone watch me? Okay, so before we get into the transformations, Patreon, Coffee, links at the end of the video, as well as down in the description if anyone wants to support monetarily. We greatly appreciate it, but not required. Also, you could always do like, comment, share, subscribe, typical YouTube stuff if you want to do that instead. Now let's transform this thing. First, we got to disconnect Victory Leo from Star Saber. And this is where it gets tricky because the those red clips are a little too effective in my mind. Because like you'd think you could just pop this up, but it really, okay, that's the easiest I've ever had it. So pop that up, bring that out, and now you just kind of pull these out a little bit and untab Victory Leo, and you can just kind of push him back up along that track. And there we go. Victory Leo has been separated. Star Saber is now like this. And let us do the... let's do Victory Leo first. So, all that out of the way, get this out of the way. Real quick, I'm going to change this to the robot mode configuration. So just slide this out, tilt it up, and then this can now slide in on this side. And There we've got the robot mode configuration. Woo. Okay. Get all this out of the way. It does kind of bum me out that the big combined vehicle mode, let's just get that out of there. The big combined vehicle mode doesn't really have a way for this to store. I mean, you can just plug it in anywhere there's a port, but I just wish that this could, you know, store like this without having to unplug it, but whatever. So, for Victory Leo, we are going to do the animal mode first. So, I'm going to open this up and pull these back out and flip them back out again and plug this all back together. And this basically stands in as like a tail. Sure. These bits here rotate around, and you can unpeg the top of the foot. Has a little slot on it that pegs in over this tab here. So just unpeg the foot, rotate this forward, and you'll feel it kind of soft lock into place. So there we've got one back leg number 2 rotates around, and again, just untap the foot, bring that around, and that is the back of the line mode. Now, going to bring this down just a bit to get it out of the way, rotate the cannons 180 degrees so that they're pointing what will be the new forward. You can untab the arms, what will become the arms from the wings here. You can see that there is just a little tab and slot right there. This side likes to come out very easily. But just untab it and straighten it out, bring it down. And that's all there is to that. And same deal over here. Untab it, bring it down, and straighten that out. It looks like my official Victory Saber stickers were coming up a little bit. That's annoying. Yeah, these bits are unpainted initially. They give you stickers to apply, and I applied the stickers because I like having the red going all the way across, but yeah, it is what it is. Now, for the lion head, just gonna bring out these little horns just a little bit. Open the lion mouth, which does open. There we go. Open the lion mouth, and with this up, this is the easiest time to do this, is to just take these little bits on the side and flare them out. So you can see they kind of move. So flare them out, bring this down, and this piece will tab in right in there. Right in there. So bring that down and plug that in. Plug it in. Oh, it is plugged in. And that is it. You can flip this up if you want, but I think that's more for robot mode. And in fact, if we bring this in, this is supposed to... Right, okay. So, bring in the cannon and flip this down, and this little clip here, and this little peg hole inside will go over this piece here. So what you want to do is get this in place and just kind of bring it down, and it should kind of clip over the gray piece, and that peg should go inside the, there we go. It should go inside that piece. It's a little difficult to line up, but you can do it. And there we've got Victory Leo in his Leo mode. So there is that. And this is more successful than the space whatever. The back is still silly with this hoop that's supposed to be a tail, but hey, whatever. But all right, I gotta move this light. But again, it gets the job done. Posability is a bit limited. Like the legs can kind of move, but they do lock in at this point, so that's a little tricky. You can move here, you can move here. They can't swivel or go in and out, though. The front legs, though, can go forward and backward, in and out, swivel, bend here. So there's that. And then the head can kind of very slightly go left and right. very, very slightly up and down. If you unplug it, you can look way up, and you can rotate it to the side a bit. But then these bits start to get pushed in because of the collar piece around the outside. So wouldn't recommend that. And if you want, you can flap the wings. You can also tuck the wings up inside if you want to make them smaller. But for Victory Leo, I feel like you kind of want them extended. And again, here you can see the cannons, original cannon, original wing, upgrade cannon, upgrade wing. So you can do that or that for your Victory Leo. Again, I prefer the upgrade kit, and I just do that to make the wings slightly shorter, but everyone can do their own thing. And I'm just gonna, I guess I'll just go through all of these individually. So let's do the size comparisons with Victory Leo real quick. Bring in our standard size comparisons. And you can see that Victory Leo in animal mode is a little bit bigger, not much. It's basically still the same overall shape, just now the lion head is in front and the legs are pulled down. But it is what it is. Actually, I think I'm going to break from tradition and forego the other size comparisons with Victory Leo's animal mode because the animal is so close in size to the vehicle mode. So let's put Victory Leo off to the side here and move on to Star Saber. And first we're going to do Saber. So I don't remember, I don't honestly know if you have to push this button, but I'm going to do it anyway just to be on the safe side. And also you want to pull these out. Push this button and pull this out of the of its connection, and it's pegged in there perhaps a little too well. Come on. Come on. Let go. Let go. Why you not let go? This is a little bit unhappy. Come on. I do not like this. And yeah, I don't generally do this combination if I can, or not this combination. This combination is kind of important, but like, I was thinking of the Victory Leo one, but yeah, this is, I don't like how this is going. I'm going to take it behind the camera real quick to try and get a better angle on it. Yeah, so basically what I did was I just kind of pulled out here just a little bit, just kind of to flex this out a little bit to try and get a better angle to get this disconnected and unclipped from the pegs in there. Now let us do the base mode. Yeah, we're gonna do the base mode. So pull off the obvious Star Saber helmet. It just goes around this rectangular squarish bit here. And now these little grooves on the inside of the neck, you can kind of see how it's a little bit thinner here. Those will line up and go over, sit inside these grooves back here. So you just kind of get that lined up and plug that on, and there you go. Now we have that going on. This piece can come up, and these will peg into these peg holes here, and I believe, yeah, these tabs here will tab in there. And is that... Okay. I was noticing it's lighter up here. I was wondering if that was glare from the light or if I had stress marks. It's just glare from the light. So that just sits up against the back like that. Now, can undo... Actually, before we do all of that, I'm going to fold in these wings on both sides. Now, undo the door. And I find it's best to just kind of angle the leg. So angle it to bring it out and then start sliding it down because there's this tab that sits up in here. I also have the original sword blade stored in there because you can store it in there. But yeah, I find it's best going in and coming out to kind of angle it in like this and then collapse it in and close that door. So do that. Bring this out all the way. And now The door will close back up, and now this will plug into here and kind of keep that closed. And also going to fold in the little landing strut. Now, this piece will unplug from here. There's actually a little tab that goes into the inside of the cuff, which can be a little tricky to untab. It's not bad, it's just finding the right angle can be a little tricky, and I don't want to like force things too hard. So do that, and now this whole piece rotates like that. And then we can bring the leg up, and this will clip together up here. Put you back in. And for the heck of it, bring down the hip skirt. I don't necessarily think you have to. Actually, no, I'll leave it up because it makes this look a little bit more solid. So there we go. That is one side. Other side, same deal. Open the door, angle this out, bring it down, and then clip that in. Pop this, and then rotate it back. Bring this up, clip it into place. And then now I'm going to try to get this thing out of here since I can get a little bit better of a grip on it. Just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah, okay. So you've got this tab here. Zoom in here. You got this tab here that sits in there, and then everything else kind of cradles around it. And as you can see, it holds very securely. So got to be a little careful with that. It's not bad, but got to be a little careful with it. And then to complete the base mode, the shield pegs into these tabs on these gray pieces here. They're these little slots on either side that just plug in and barely hold it all. So fun times. Just kind of line that up, and yeah, see, this is this is the problem everyone has with this, and I 100% agree. This did not need to be this irritating to peg on, but it can peg on and it can hold, just not super securely. But there we have Star Saber's base mode. And now we can look at Saber. So let's do the thing and get a little Brainmaster out of there. Close that back up. For the Brainmaster, going to straighten out the legs and arms, and then I really have to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. And then the face, the head kind of rotates in, and the big face rotates up. I don't like that that's translucent plastic that they're making you do that with. Also, I don't like that they did not paint the nose on the face. Just, I don't know why they... Yeah, but there's that. He is like a mascot now. So, got that done. Now, for the rest of this, we want to unplug the nose cone. That just unplugs like that, and this just stays where it is. We can put that off to the side for now. These wings fold all the way back. These wings fold all the way up. Now we can unplug the obvious arms from the sides here. They're just two tabs up here that plug into... Okay, not two tabs. It's this one tab here that plugs in there to keep the arm in place. But plug that in and then get the fist out of there, which is weirdly tricky. Don't know why this is so tricky, but we'll just bring in our spudger and use that. And now this whole thing just kind of shifts up. So that now the shoulder's up there. And same deal here, just unplug the arm, shift that up, and just not even bother. I'm just going to grab the spudger right now and pull this out. And there we've got arms. I'm going to split the obvious legs. And now this piece here will hinge back. And that gets out of the way so that you can now hinge the leg out. And you actually kind of want to bend the leg a little bit because of clearance. But want to give that a bend and then hinge this and find an angle that you can see this. You want to hinge it out this way and swing it up. and then this closes back up, and this little tab here will go through this channel on the inside of the leg piece, and that will help to lock all that in place. Let's bring that around and peg that all together. And then to clean this up, just want to take this panel and flip that up to give you the knee pad, and then flip out the toe, and there is one leg, and obviously the second leg is the same deal. So just bring that up, or open that up, hinge this out, bring this back in, make sure that tab goes through that little channel, flip up the knee pad, flip out the toe, and Saber is almost done. And I'm also going to take this piece, and this just pegs onto the shoulder, and then can open up the chest, flip out the helmet, and then the Brainmaster goes in here. There's a little tab on the back side there that pegs into a little opening up here. So that just pegs in there and gives Saber his face. And people have shown this off before, but I still want to show it off because I think it's cool. I love how, despite how this all transforms, Saber can still turn his head, because basically this whole thing is sitting inside like a rotating chamber. So you can turn the head and it rotates the entire body of the Brainmaster along with everything else. And that is really, really interesting and clever how they did that. But anyway, we can close that up, and now you can't even tell the difference. And there is Saber in robot mode. And yeah, Star Saber's base mode is just Star Saber doing a weird split with a shield in front of his face. It is what it is. Also, you can angle the little thingies. And if you want, let's bring in the little blast effects that Star Saber comes with. You can plug these onto the tips of little cannons, so you can do that. It looks silly, but hey, it's a thing. Also, you can use this gun, and it can plug into any of the ports. And it's going to plug it in there to add a little gun to the base mode. But yeah, Saber's robot mode is actually kind of neat. I like this little guy. The articulation is pretty decent, which we'll get to in a second, and the overall paint and color separation is pretty good. It looks accurate from what I remember of how this model is supposed to look. Maybe some extra greebling, but I'm okay with that. I really like the the gray here is hinges, but I like having that with like the yellow in the knees. And of course, the yellow in the waist, the silver and white in the torso section. The white here does look a little bit faded, or not faded, but more like it could have used an extra coat. Or maybe it's supposed to be gray and it just looks really close to the white. I don't know. But there is that, and then you also get a little bit of that gunmetal in the forearms, and then more color separation with the plastics used for the fists and biceps, and nice little splash of color on the shoulder. So yeah. He looks pretty good. Also, yellow on the head. And speaking of the head, we already looked at it, but it looks good. It looks like Saber from what I've seen. The only thing that really bums me out about it is the combination of light piping, which makes no sense, because where's the light going to come from here? Like, nothing can get in there. And also, they didn't paint the nose. So I feel like that could really use like some paint to really make the visor pop, and also paint the freaking nose. But the little splash of yellow on the head crest is nice. And articulation-wise, as I showed, the head does rotate, which is really cool considering how this thing transforms. The arms are on, or the shoulders are on ball joints, but you also have the transformation hinge, which can go up there. So like, you can get the arms up pretty high. You can shift the center mass of the shoulder up and down, however you see fit. The arms can rotate all the way around. You get a little bit of a butterfly motion, or actually a significant amount of kind of butterfly motion using the ball joint range. There is a bicep swivel. There is a 90-degree bend at the elbow. You have a peg hole that goes all the way through the arm, which bothers some people, does not bother me at all. And then the fists are actually on ball joints, so you can rotate them kind of. Because of the nature of all of this stuff, like there's the way it's angled, you don't really get a full rotation. Like it kind of angles in a little bit, and you don't really have all the clearance you need because this doesn't go out any further. It kind of stops when it's angled in slightly. So the rotation doesn't go all the way around, but whatever. This is not the main reason people get this figure anyway, but I think as just a little guy, Saber's actually pretty fun. As you can see, you also get a waist swivel that does move pretty decently despite the backpack being where it is. You can't get this out of the way. But what you can do is use the ab crunch. Look at that. He's got an ab crunch. And it is above or below the waist. Above. It's above the waist. So yeah, you can get way more of a waist rotation if you use that ab crunch. The hips can go forward past 90. Going back, they do get stopped because of the backpack. And go out to 90, you get thigh swivels. The knees can bend to a little bit under 90, which is fine, and can bend forward to a little bit under 90, which is a thing you can do. And then the feet actually do have ankle tilts. It doesn't go too far, but they can tilt, and then you can like wiggle the toe down if you want. So Saber's pretty decently posable. I think like as a little dude, he's just kind of fun to mess with. He's also not exactly deluxe size. Bring back Artfire and Burnout in particular, like putting him next to Burnout as a more standard size deluxe. Like he is definitely shorter than a more standard deluxe. And there's Samus. And because we did this before, let's bring Fire and Holi back in here. So yeah, that is how Saber stacks up to the more typical robot mode comparisons that I got. And, oh geez. I guess the real challenge of this video is seeing if I could keep it under 2 hours. And let's bring the big boy back in here. Here's everybody with Deathsaurus. And yeah, Deathsaurus is way bigger, as one would expect, because Deathsaurus is the final mode of the most recent, as of this recording, Haslab, rather than being the semi-halfway point that Saber is. And finally, here all of this is with the duck tank. I'm also realizing I didn't do Peepo and Boater with the other Micromasters with Fire and Holi, so there they are all together. All 4 of the Micromasters now. And yeah, Fire and Holi are a little bit taller than Peepo and Boater. Does not make them better. Okay. So, now that all of that is out of the way, speaking of getting things out of the way, we are going to hold off on Star Saber combination because we still have to look at Victory Leo's, not Leo Victories, Victory Leo's robot mode. I am going to push these in already just because they're gonna pop in anyway. Now, I'm gonna pop these cannons out of the way just so I can get a better grip on this to remove this, because this is really on there. There we go. A little bit disconcerting. But anyway, so we're going to take this off, put that off to the side. Take this panel here, and this flips up and comes in to fill in the back here. Going to rotate the lion legs around, and as we're doing that, going to curl these back up and tab the foot into here. Just bring this all the way around again. It'll kind of lock into place. Same deal on this side, though on this side, it doesn't like to lock in as solidly. Like you can see, this moves pretty easily, even though it does kind of lock in here. But here, it's in there a lot stronger. I really wish that this held in a little bit better, but oh well. Now, first we're going to pop open the legs, fold these little things back in again, and now I'm going to do the leg extension, which is a little tricky on Victory Leo. It's not bad, it's just a little tricky, because what you got to do is, rather than just pull this out, there's this little door back here. Rather than just pull this out, you kind of want to pull this out while shifting the hip back, because of the way this transforms, because there's this tab down here that goes into that little slot right down there, because you can see as I pull this out, there's a little slot. And in robot mode, this upper tab pegs in there, and that locks the leg together. But when you bring the legs in for lion or vehicle mode, what you want to do is you want to collapse it partially and bring this down and try and basically get it so that you can guide that tab into the slot and bring it all down together. And that will lock it in, and you don't run the risk of breaking anything. But like coming out of it, you kind of want to do a similar thing in reverse. So you want to pull this up while kind of pulling up here to just kind of help them both guide themselves out of each other's way. Then this, we'll just peg in there. Same deal over here. Bring it out, shift that up, shift it forward, and then bring that in and peg it in. Now we can bring out these toes, which are shockingly difficult to bring out. So what I end up doing is I usually end up grabbing the rifle here and just pegging this into the toe and pulling it down like that. This is actually kind of my go-to for a lot of the transformation bits on here. And yeah, my Victory Leo's knees need to be tighter, and this tab on the back comes undone way too easily. But we'll talk about that a little later. But if those are the only problems I really have with this set, then I got off light. So there is the lower body. Now for the upper body, going to rotate the lion paws down all the way, and that fills in the forearm, gets the paw kind of on the back of the elbow, and brings the fist out. Then you can rotate the fist. Now, I've seen people do the transformation without rotating the fist, and you can do it. But I don't like doing that because now you have a obvious hole right there in the lion foreleg. So I rotate the fist like that because now the back of the fist fills it in more with like a solid shape. And I just think that looks better. So again, rotate that around, rotate the fist. There we go. And while we're here, you can leave the wings extended. You can extend them all the way if you want. So there you have Victory Leo with the full extension. There is the upgrade kit. There is the regular stuff. But what I prefer to do is angle this up and fold this in to give him just a little shorter wings, which I think actually work better for the robot mode specifically. So I guess we'll triple hinge in instead of this, or double hinge instead of single hinge like this one. And that just sits back there. And also there you can see the difference between the wings when they're all folded up with the upgrades without. So there's that. And now for the last little bit, I want to close the lion mouth, take the horns and flip them out the side. And then take this panel and you want to flip it up to reveal the face. But I find what works best to do this is pop the head off the here so that the strut comes up, and then rotate it a little bit. And that gives you a much clearer angle on this tab or panel. So you can just flip that up, and then with that flipped up, now this can come back down all that. So with the panel flipped up, you just want to swing it up, and this will tab in up here. There we go. There is Victory Leo, and also on Victory Leo, you can see that the gold chrome here is not scratched. It's got some fingerprint stuff on it, but like it's not scratched at all because they had the little like chest protector thing on the version that I got. And yeah, there we have Victory Leo. And I like Victory Leo quite a bit, actually. I think the design, like the robot mode, or rather the lion mode and vehicle mode are like, eh. But I think the robot mode's pretty cool looking, honestly. I like the black, white, and yellow combination of colors that he's got going on here with the little red accents and like the toes, the shins, the wings, the chest slightly. And the combination of like a lion theme but with horns is just weird, but I really love it. And he's cool. Actually, before we get into the accessories, I got to talk other stuff. So the head is neat. The face looks a little tiny in that really big head, but like it's kind of part of the design. And the face is very stoic, I guess. I like how the white face stands out inside the yellow and black. And the blue eyes, of course, stand out really nicely as well. The little shape is a little bit strange. Also, it's just like a lion head, but like I dig it. It's weird and silly, but I dig it. The horns, for some reason, add a lot. Now, for the articulation, the head is on a ball joint. So like the lion head, you can kind of wiggle up and down very slightly, wiggle side to side very slightly, but you can rotate. It can't rotate. I'm a liar. It can rotate all the way around. Though when you get to around here, you can kind of see that this panel is lifting up because this kind of clashes with the collar. So if you want to keep that pressed down, you're only going to get the head to turn about that far. But like, I don't really think you need to have the head turn any farther because it doesn't look natural otherwise. The arms can theoretically do a full 360, but the wings are in the way. And the added mass of the DNA upgrades, if you angle the wing back all the way, it does not get in the way of that rotation. So something to keep in mind. The arms can go out to almost 90. You get a bicep rotation, and then the elbow bend is really nice. And because of the, like you saw before in the transformation, the fists do actually rotate. He does not have waist rotation due to a lot of things, primarily, well, due to the combination, which, you know, spoilers, but honestly, we all knew. The hips can go forward to past 90, back to about 90. I don't know why the forward and backward motion on this is ratcheted. It doesn't serve a purpose in the combined mode, so it seems unnecessarily strong. But then the hips can go out this far until the machine gun saddlebags get in the way. If you want to detransform it, you can pop this out for this part of the combination, but you can do that to bring the leg out even further. Also, you may notice that the legs click together very solidly. I noticed some other people had issues where like they'd go to move the hips out and this would disconnect and it would just break the leg apart. Now it's a lot more like you can either leg, you move this and it's moving the leg. It's not unclipping. So that's cool. You get a thigh rotation. You also get a knee bend. And this is the issue that I have with Leo, Victory Leo. But you get a 90-degree knee bend. It can also straighten out ever so slightly past the 180 mark. And then the toes can wiggle up and down, and you also get rotation just on the toes. So it's not really a heel. But this is, yeah, I need to tighten up those knees. I keep forgetting to do that. That stinks, and also the fact that it's so easy to wiggle these panels out, and then this is happening now, that sucks. So I always have to remember to just hold those panels closed if I'm moving the knee, otherwise they're going to come out. It's not the worst thing, it's just a little bit annoying, and again, considering like the other potential flaws that this guy has had, like QC issues that this set has had, I'm fine with something that's slightly annoying that I can just fix. But it would be nice if I didn't have to. And then you can, of course, take the fairly nondescript, but I'm assuming shaped accurately, gray gun that's just a single piece of gray plastic and peg it into his hand. You can also give him the V-Lock cannon if you want. Just flip this down and use this peg to peg into his fist. And he can hold this and actually look pretty cool doing it. You know, honestly, that is pretty cool. Also, you can peg it into his hip, which I saw on, I think it was Sixo's video, where you can, there's like a peg hole on the side there, you can peg that in, and basically have a hip-mounted V-Lock cannon, which I guess was from the show or something like that, I don't know. But it's cool that you can use that as an option. And yeah, I don't know, like, Victory Leo is surprisingly neat. I can't necessarily say that he's like my favorite from the set, but like as a standalone figure, he's actually shockingly neat. Even with his annoying knee stuff. Now, as far as height goes, he is taller, significantly taller than Saber. Like, significantly taller. And if you bring in Fire and Holi, you know, they're Micromasters. Of course, he's bigger than they are. And let's bring back our standards. There is Artfire. He is taller than a Voyager, which, of course, makes him taller than a Deluxe. So there is all of that. And then if we get all this out of the way, we got to bring back the big guy, but first I got to make space for the big guy. And when I say big guy, I mean the very big guy. Okay, Saber, you come here. So here he is with Deathsaurus. And again, like, Deathsaurus obviously significantly larger than Victory Leo. But I think that is to be expected. Okay, come here, you. And finally, oh, this video is going to be so long. Finally, here is Victory Leo with the duck tank. Okay, real quick, I screwed up slightly with the base orientation. You actually do not want to put this piece on like this. You want to have it facing this way. You want this section pointing forward, not the not this, because this is where Star Saber and Victory Saber plug into. So had to fix that real quick. Okay, now let's get Victory Leo back out of here and bring in Saber and this thing, which you can see the shield is holding on. You just got to be careful not to bump it, because if you bump it, it's just gonna... Oh, okay, apparently I did a much better job of pegging it in. Maybe it's something with the second run. I don't know. But we're going to do the Star Saber combination now. So we're going to unplug this, and also going to take this blue piece and extend it. You can tell when it's pushed in all the way because it that little bit sticks out of the top there, but you pull this out to extend it and it will click in place. So keep pulling until it clicks. There we go. And now that is all ready to go. That off to the side. For Saber, going to fold the fists back in. Fold the toes back in. Fold the kneecaps back down. Then we want to, well, we'll use the ab crunch to get things get some clearance back here, but open this up and then close this back up. Close that up on both sides. So you just hinge the legs back down. And it looks like I was wrong. You don't actually need to bend the knee. It's just, for some reason I was having a hard time without bending the knee, but no, it just goes in. So yeah, Close that back up, then you can push, no, before you push the legs back together, you actually want to use that forward joint for the knee to bring these bits forward and then peg them back together. Now, what you want to do is bring the legs up so that these tabs on the inside of the kneecaps go into, they kind of tuck around these little grooves on the sides of the torsos, these little nubbin things here. And you're going to need to use the ab crunch for this. So bring that up, bring these up using the hips, and you just kind of want to mess around with it a little bit until that's all lined up, and it'll just naturally kind of settle into place. And that helps to keep that in place, so this won't like slide up and down. And now you can take the arms and use the ball joint and hinge to bring them back down as though you were going back into vehicle mode. They don't actually peg in anywhere, but they don't really have to. But you bring those down, and we'll just leave this like this for now. And now for this thing, I want to take the shield off, which, okay, that came off really easy. It was apparently held on with a prayer, but it was a good prayer. Now, going to bring the legs down. And you can pull here. This actually does clip hard enough that like you can move that, but like I prefer to not put too much stress on that little transformation connection. So yeah, do that. Bring the hip skirt down, and then for the toe, want to push up here to get the foot coming, and keep pushing. And basically, what you want to do is push this, and the toe will actually start to pop out a little bit. And that will give you enough space to grab the toe and pull it out the rest of the way. And then this kind of goes up past that gray piece to create the proper flat foot. Well, flat here, I mean. And other leg, same deal. Bring this down. Bring down the hip skirt. And yeah, this is the other problem with mine is if you mess around with the legs, it's really kind of easy to bump that panel loose. So you just kind of have to hold here when you're moving around the legs in robot mode. And also you could see the knee is, the right knee is a little bit on the loose side. It's not like floppy, but it doesn't hold the weight as well as I would like not as well as this one. But anyway, there's the lower body. For the arms, I'm going to rotate this forward, and I'll just do the one for now. And you can kind of put that out of the way. You can kind of swing this out a little bit, and you want to get this door open. And then you can hinge this out, and then close up that panel. And there's a little tab on the inside of the panel that goes into this little groove section. And get the light to show it, a little groove section in here, and that kind of locks that together so you don't have to worry about this flopping around once it's in robot mode. Then you get the fist. And getting the fist out of there is kind of annoying. So what's less annoying is just push it from this side. All you got to do. That's all you got to do. It's so much easier. So do that. And that is one arm ready to go. Oh, also you want to straighten out those guns. And then here, same deal. Just bring it out a little bit to pop open the door, hinge that out, and you can actually see the back of the fist there. So just push to get the fist going, and that makes getting the fist out of that forearm so much easier. Like, I was annoyed at how unreasonably obnoxious it was to get those fists out until I realized, like, oh, I can just do that. Now, gonna bring these gray pieces out all the way. Also want to make sure to pop this piece off. And now we bring in Saber, and what Saber's going to do is Saber is going to slide in, and there's basically this piece down here will click in somewhere. I'm still not entirely sure how this works, but once he's in place, he's actually in place pretty solidly, and he's not going to get knocked out of place unless you push this button to remove him, and you want to push that button. So don't try to yank Saber out once he's combined. Just push that button and take him out that way. But anyway, slot him in and click him into place. And now these gray panels will fold in, and there are, it's hard to show on camera, but there are little slots on the inside of the leg section here that actually line up with those tabs on the gray piece and click in, like solidly click in. Like even just the one panel is holding that in place. So you want to get that lined up and then push it in until it does a little soft click. And that very securely locks the entire chest in place. Now can fold these out, and you can fold them all the way back. I kind of prefer to have them out a little bit because like it still doesn't really get in the way of the arm articulation, and it just adds a little bit more to the the shape of the chest. But got that going, and we take the gun from the vehicle mode. I want to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Pull these out, rotate them up, and want to try and have the little vent facing forward so it's like kind of parallel to the other vent in the front there. Bring that out, rotate this up, and just try and align it. I do wish that there was like a kind of soft locking point for these in like their proper positions, so that way they would just sit where they need to sit, but whatever. So yeah, there we've got the antenna. I need to take this silver piece, pull that down to reveal the face. And now this just very simply drops on top of Saber's head like a helmet. And that's all there is to it. And there we have Star Saber in his full combined mode. And he does look like a Star Saber. I'm not the hugest fan of this design stylistically, but it looks good. You know, it does look good. It's the weirdly flared shirt cuffs that kind of throw me off, but like, it's fine. The combination is interesting and fun enough, and I do think this is very cool. Color breakup is great. It looks so much better in this mode than in the big ship mode because you don't have all the screw holes or ports, but primarily screw holes. And then you also get a lot more color variation with, the red feet, gray at the top, then white, then you got blue and yellow and this gunmetal on the sides and the knees, the blue thighs, the red waist, the yellow in the details, the gray, white, and blue for the forearms, the gray, red, and white for the upper arms, and then like the chest is just full of colors with like the grays, the blues, the reds, the whites, and that both the dark gunmetal-y gray and the chrome gold right in there. And the head also adds some stuff with like the light blue, the white, the silver, the yellow, the red, the dark gray. It's a good combination of colors. It's a good color scheme. It's just, it's a slightly silly robot design, which is fine. I don't hate it or anything like that. It's just, if we're really looking at it, it's kind of like, it looks a little frilly. And I don't mean like, I don't know, just, again, it's like the big shirt, big like sleeve cuffs, I think, more than anything, that kind of are like, really? But what he does look pretty darn good, and he cleans up really nicely too. Like around back, like that all is pretty darn clean. He pretty much doesn't have any kibble. Like he's got some winglets hanging off his legs, but like it's fine. They tuck away. And yeah, he's pretty neat for what he is. Now, actually, no, we should go over the other stuff before we get into accessories and all that. So the head is Star Saber's head. The upgrade kit, as I mentioned before, does come with a separate new faceplate. And this is the new faceplate. And I just am not really... I don't really feel the new faceplate. Like it adds more in terms of detailing and line work, but the eyes are a lot smaller. The actual faceplate is a little bit smaller. And the reason that bothers me is because this can like rotate down a little bit further than this does inside the helmet, which looks a little bit awkward if you're not careful with how you place the thing. And like when you look up, you do get some of the top of Saber's head in there, but it's not terrible. But like because the mouth plate section on this is sits a little bit higher, you see more of Saber's head when you do that. So like you can't raise the head as high without things looking weird. And if you raise it up all the way, things look even weirder than they do now. So yeah, not a fan of the DNA upgrade faceplate. But nice thing about it is I don't have to put it in. I tried it. I did try it. You actually have to disassemble the helmet to do it. You have to take out these two screws back here, take the thing apart, pop out the old faceplate and pop in the new one, and then put it all back together. I tried it out, did not like it, but, I tried. Another thing that this set comes with, in case you have like the older Star Saber or Victory Saber set, or you've got damaged chrome on the chest, is it comes with little gold chrome stickers for both Victory Leo and Star Saber, so that's an option if you need it. But anyway, the head is very Gundam-esque, which, as I understand it, makes sense given the designer, or from what I've heard of the designer. But it works. The colors are nice. The big antennae are a little weird, but kind of endearing. And it just kind of works. Yeah, the colors are nice too, with the white neck, red helmet with the yellow details, the gray on the sides, and the silver and blue for the visor and face, or for the mouth plate, face, and eyes. And it's a color combination that works. I do like that the antennae are not red, because that would just be overwhelming. I feel like there's just enough red here that it doesn't get to be too much. And yeah, it's a pretty decent looking head. Now for the articulation on Star Saber's combined mode, as you saw, the head can look up and, well, pretty much up, can look straight. It doesn't really look down. But because it's a helmet on Saber's head, it can turn left and right. It kind of wants to stop here. You can push it a little further, but I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't feel good. But that's, I think, plenty of head turn, really. The shoulders actually do a lot. I'm going to push these in for now just to make sure they don't get in the way. But they go all the way out. The in and out motion is unfortunate. This is as far out as they go, and they go out here. I really wish the outward motion was up here. But nope. That does suck. But you get butterfly motion on the shoulders. They can go forward. There's a dedicated joint up here that allows you to bring the arms forward. But in addition to that, I didn't even know that this was here. I just kind of realized because I saw a pin there. In addition to that, you can actually unplug an outward butterfly motion. So you can do that as well. Or you can combine the two and do that for some reason, which looks terrible. But yeah, that's cool. I like that he's got a lot of shoulder movement. The outward motion sucks. You get a bicep swivel. You have a double jointed elbow, but it's kind of weird. The upper joint is just friction and it bends to 90. The lower joint is like a soft ratchet and it also bends to about 90, but you can use the two together to get beyond a 90-degree curl, which is nice. And we'll just bring the arms up for this. You do get a waist rotation, though unfortunately, due to the nature of all of this, Saber's arms do kind of get, you can kind of see that they're getting pushed up. They get out of the way, it's okay, but it just kind of stinks that happens. In addition to that, you also actually get an ab crunch. You have to kind of unplug things, but you do get an ab crunch for Star Saber, and it works despite Saber's arms hanging down there. Also, let me just say real quick, I actually think it's really cool how Saber's arms come down and kind of fill out the torso section. I don't know, it's neat that it does that. Just checking to see if there's a way to like plug these in. There is not, but I like how that fills out the midriff area. It's just cool, and it adds this nice little bit of gunmetal on the inside there. It's a neat little detail. Now for the legs, you can get the hip skirts, the front and side hip skirts out of the way. There are no back hip skirts. The legs can go forward to almost 90, back only about that far because of everything going on back here. As you saw with the base mode and the vehicle mode, really, they can go out to 90. And it's ratcheted in all those directions. You get a thigh swivel. If we... Whoop. Uh-oh. Don't think that broke. No, okay, it just popped off. It must have been when I brought the hip up or something. I don't know, but basically, it's okay. You get just under 90 degrees of knee bend, which I think is fine. Also, it's weird that it's soft going up and clicky going down. That's strange. But anyway, there is that. Bring these hip skirts back down. And then for the feet, you get a bit of ankle tilt. Kind of like it does tilt, but it's really stiff when you get to like the extremes, and it kind of wants to swing back on its own. Like if I'm not touching it, you can see it kind of shift back. So I don't know what's going on there. I think that's a problem that other people had too, but that's kind of unfortunate. And you can waggle the toes. So there is Star Saber's articulation. It is pretty decent. And now for the accessories, you can bring in the sword, and his blade is stored inside the leg. It can store inside either leg. There are these little divots in either leg that you can drop the blade into. And then this will plug into the sword in one of two ways. You can either line this up with this little opening here and peg it in like this, and that gives you this kind of sword, which a lot of people don't like, and I understand why, because when you put it in his hand like this, it looks kind of weird. But like the grip is long enough that you can peg it in and then just turn it. Like, just turn it like that, and now it's fine. But that's one way you can do it. But you can also plug it in so that it goes this way. It's just weird because like other people have said, and mine does it too, where like it doesn't really sit right going one way. Like you can see this popped right out. But then trying to go in this way, and it actually does sit this way. So it's just a little weird. Also, it angles up slightly. Like it's very slightly. If this is, if this is parallel to the bottom of the screen, this starts to angle up. So that's weird. But like you can put it in his hand so that it does sit, with the blade facing forward. But the problem with this is like you can't move this down much further because of everything going on here. So you can actually push this a little bit further down if you angle it. And then it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I understand people's criticisms and wanting to have it plugged in like this, but I feel like ultimately it looks better if you do it this way anyway and just spin it. That may not be accurate, but I think it looks better. Then, in addition to that, he has the shield, which you can just, rotate this piece so that you've got the handle. Pop that into his hand. And now he has the shield with the sword, and that's all cool. Also, I just realized I forgot to talk about the hands during articulation. So real quick, they are swivelable. The wrists do swivel. They can also kind of come in a little bit if you want to do that. And then they do the jet fire thing where you can open the fingers and the little hole for the peg goes inside the palm. And then when you close the fingers again, you can see that peg hole kind of pops out again. So that's cool. Also, these are smaller hands. these are smaller hands than Siege Jetfire, so it's cool that they pulled that off with smaller hands. But anyway, so you can plug the shield into his hand, or you can rotate this, and this piece will clip over the forearm. So there are these little divots here and these little tabs on the sides of these brackets here. So you just bring that in and clip that in place. And then he has the shield on his forearm, which I think looks way cooler. So there is Star Saber in his robot mode, and he is neat for what he is. Like, he's, as I said, not my favorite design, but he's cool. I dig him. Now, let's bring Victory Leo back in here. So there you can see how the two of them measure up together. And now let's do the standard size comparisons. So, also Holi and Fire, just in case anyone cares. All right. Now, standard size comparisons. Here's Artfire and Oba Prime, our stand-in for Tall Deluxe, and Burnout, our actual regular Deluxe, and then Samus. So that is how all of them work out together. I need to get Victory Leo out of my out of my space because I keep bumping his guns. So there is Star Saber. He is pretty big. And let's get all these back out of the way here. And bring in the Emperor of Destruction again. Jeez, I may not be able to keep this video under 2 hours. So here is Star Saber with Deathsaurus. And Star Saber is a lot bigger than Victory Leo, but Deathsaurus is even taller. Actually, let's get Victory Leo in here so we can get the three of them together just because. So yeah, there is the trio. All these dorks together. And let's get Deathsaurus back out of the way. And you know what? Since we have the room, even though we already saw them, even though we already saw Victory Leo with it, we'll just we'll bring this back in. So there is Star Saber and Victory Leo with the Duck Tank. Okay, one more mode to go. So, first thing I'm going to do, because I talked about this before, is this is the DNA upgrade kit blade. It is significantly bigger than the one that comes with Victory Saber. As if we look at the two of them side by side, like, it is significantly bigger. The problem is this will not store anywhere because it's so big. This can slide into the little leg holster. What I like doing is I use this for Star Saber because it can store in the leg. So like when I'm done with Star Saber, I just drop that back into the little leg holster and then use this for Victory Saber. Now the unfortunate thing with the DNA blade is it cannot go in this way. It just isn't keyed to fit that way, so you can't attach it like this. It has to go like this, which again I'm fine with because if you plug it in like that, you can just have Star or Victory Saber hold it like this. But you can see how much bigger that blade is, so that's cool. Now, let's take care of Victory Leo first. So let's get the V-Lock cannon out of his hand. Get the tiny gun out of his hand. Come on. There we go. And let's start transforming. So we're going to just pop this panel out and pull it back down over his face. It does stick in there pretty good, but you can pull it out. And if I can do it with just my fingernail, I think anyone can do it. But that folds down all the way to cover up his face. Then you fold in the horns like so. This will pop up, and with this popped up, we can now pull the this whole thing out. This entire thing slides apart, and now we've got this going on. We'll do that part after. So now, can fold the toes back up, come in here and collapse the legs. And as I said, when you collapse the legs, you want to use the kind of hinge and tab for the back panel in tandem. You don't just want to push the leg all the way down and then try and tab it closed. So do that. Make sure the hips are straight. And now want to break the leg at this transformation joint, this hinge right here, which can be a little tricky because it pegs in really solidly now. I don't know why that's pegging in so solidly. Come on. I didn't have this problem before. Well, anyway, I guess I'll do it another way. So instead, we're just going to split this apart. And now with this split apart, that should give me a little bit of a better grip to... There we go. So snap that apart. Swing this around, and this tab here will tab in right here. So just get that situated, peg that together. The inside Victory Leo's chest, you can fold out the foot, and then this side has this little clip. You just push that clip up and inside like that. And there is one booty. Other booty, same deal, almost the same deal. Want to pop this, which is so weirdly difficult. I seriously don't know why it's fighting me so much. Oh, that came undone. Why? What am I doing wrong? Am I doing something wrong? I don't know. The other one came apart okay. Why is this being weird? There we go. Okay. Let's pop that out. I need to put this back together. There we go. And then swing it around, peg it together, flip out the foot, and now there is no clip on this, so that can just stay out as it is, but there is a little bit more we got to do up here. So we want to fold out this red piece and take this piece that was the lion tail and fold that out as well. And I forgot to do it on the other boot, so we'll do that here too. Just flip that out and flip this back. There we go. Now for the backpack, want to get this panel undone, and the easiest way that I've found to do that is to grab the little rifle and just peg it in and then pull, and that just pops that panel right down. So do that. Take the I'll take the wings and kind of extend them so that can bring them forward more, because we want to rotate these cannons around again, like so. Pop these up on these little red hinges, and then the lion head, I've seen it being done a couple of ways, with people hinging it down like this, or rotating it around and bringing it down like this. I think this is the correct way to do it, but I don't know, but that's just how I'm going to do it. So there's that. And then you basically go back into the vehicle mode, where for me, I rotate the fists because I want this gap to be covered up, but doing that, which is a me thing, then you want to rotate the lion paws back out. And then you want to bring the elbow in, bring this back, and you want to get this tab into that little slot on the underside of the wing. And once that's done, you can kind of collapse the lion paw up a little bit more, just to make it a little more flush. Same deal here, bring it up, peg it in, and again, this side does not stay pegged in as much as I'd like, but it is what it is. And then just kind of fold this back a little bit, and we will leave this as is for now. We will leave this as is for now. And now, Star Saber. Star Saber's prep is incredibly easy. You want to take the toes and fold them back up like you're going back into vehicle mode. So you fold the toe in, and then you fold the rest of the foot in. And that's it. That's all you do for Star Saber. Now, you can take the Victory Leo booties, and the red clip will clip over this section here, and that will hold all that in place. And then this piece will flip up and go over this gray bit where the foot used to be, and that will really lock this in place. And same deal on this side. Clip that in, clip that over that, and there we go. Now, Star Saber has his booties, and then we can give him his backpack. And the backpack is you just push this onto this section here. There are these little blue clippy things here, and then there's like a little peg hole there. And what they do is the clippy thingies go around these little notches on the side of this big square post here, and then that peg goes in the peg hole. So you get that lined up and peg it in, and that sits really nicely. And actually popping this off is a lot easier than you may think, because all you have to do is just when everything else is unplugged, you just kind of tilt forward and up, and it just pops right off. So that's how you can get that removed without too much trouble. But with that in, now these red pieces come down and tab into these blue sections right behind the head, like so. And lastly, this white piece comes down, and this will actually tab in back here. And that keeps the backpack very locked in. And that's all there is to it. That is Victory Saber in his complete combine mode. And this is a very, very cool robot man. Also, now the articulation is the same. Nothing is different. The ankle tilt's pretty much like... The ankle tilt is not affected, it's just that he's got these big boots now instead of the feet, but like the actual angle of the tilt is exactly the same. Nothing changes with the arms except the rotation is hampered by the wings. So like that's as far forward as the arm can go now before things are bashing into the wings. And that's as far back as they can go. But other than that, the articulation is identical. So that is that for the articulation. But you can give him a sword. That just, again, plugs into the hand, and I like to rotate it so that he looks properly swordsman-ish, I guess. And get his shield kind of down and in place. And yeah, there we have Star Saber, or Victory Saber, not Star Saber. And actually, let me straighten him out a little bit because I want to talk about that upgrade kit again. So here you can see the upgrade kit with the cannons and the wings. And like here you have the regular cannon and the regular wing. The regular wing is noticeably shorter, cannon is shorter, and it also has the waffling on the underside. Whereas the upgrade kit has a longer cannon that isn't waffled on the underside and a longer wing. So basically, it's like that without the upgrade kit, which looks completely fine in my mind, but there's that, or you can do that with the upgrade kit, which admittedly I think does look better. And since I've now shown all of this off, I'm going to switch back to the full upgrade kit. So doing that is incredibly simple. Just going to pop this cannon off. It just pegs in. It's just a regular peg. So pop the cannon off of its little peg section and take the upgrade cannon, which if we look at them both together, you can see that the upgrade cannon is definitely larger and not waffled. But upgrade cannon can now peg in here, and it still has a hinge, and its hinge is, again, a little bit sturdier than the hinge on this. But that's the upgrade kit cannon, and then for the wing, you just take this section and pop it off. It just pops right out. And take this section and pop it in the other wing's place. And that's it. And this came undone. So I gotta peg that back in. But yeah, there is the fully upgraded now Victory Saber. And that is cool. I am kind of torn though, because now I have these, and like, if I wanted to, I could just hang on to them, and instead of like just tossing them in my my storage or whatever, I could like peg these somewhere. Like they could peg into the ports on the undersides of the wings that are now on the sides of the legs. So you could have like little side cannons that actually can hinge out because of that hinge. They could also potentially peg into the underside of the arm to give him like an underslung gun. That's a thing that could happen. Additionally, they could peg onto the back of Victory Leo's, or the side of Victory Leo's arm, or potentially the side of the Lion Mode paw to give him additional artillery, basically. Can't really do much with it, but like, it's a look. It's a look. But yeah, for now, I think I'm going to just get these out of here because they really aren't strictly necessary with the upgrade cannons. But hey, it is a thing you can do. You can hang on to them if you want. Now, still have a little bit more to go over in terms of accessories. I'm going to just pop this out of his hand real quick because we can, if you want, give him this gun, which looks pretty tiny in his grip when he's all decked out with all this stuff, but it's a thing you can do. Or you can give him the V-Lock cannon with basically the way this works, and this is like, you got a couple of ways you can do it. You can just attach it into his hand like this, it just plugs in and just goes over, goes in his hand like that, and now he's got his big cannon, which is all cool. But I guess the way you're supposed to do it is you flip this down all the way, and when you peg this in, this goes over his bicep, and essentially like kind of covers that up and keeps the arm a little bit straighter. And this can come down and kind of partially cover the hand if you want to do that. So there's that look as well. I kind of prefer to not use this piece because it allows you a little bit of elbow bend, but it is what it is. But you can still go in and out with this, so that's cool. And you can still kind of rotate. But there he is with the V-Lock cannon, but I honestly don't really care for the V-Lock cannon too much. But it is what it is. And also, something I neglected to mention with Star Saber, but there is a peg on the underside of this piece here, and there is a peg hole on the hip skirt. So you can peg this in, and it's either hip skirt does this. You can peg this in, and it basically, it's kind of like he's got a little hip scabbard or something for the sword. Though as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that the arm is kind of hitting the fin back there. And if you angle it down, it's a little bit better, but now this is like literally up against the back of the leg, which could potentially damage paint. I don't know. But it's an option, and it works on either hip skirt. So for in my opinion, he should just hold it. Also, if you wanted to, you could pop it, pop it back here. Store it back there so that it's not as in the way. And this is come unpegged again. It's fine. It's like, again, if this is the worst of what I got to deal with, then I'm totally okay with that. It's just a little bit like, But put that back in. Let's take that back down and give him the V-Lock cannon in this arm, just because he's got his sword in the other arm. And here you can kind of see how it does afford you a little bit of elbow motion when you don't have that in place, which I think actually works just a little bit better. But anyway, with this all done, let's bring this into... Another thing I do is I take this gun and peg it into the side of the V-Lock cannon so that the V-Lock cannon's even bigger. But yeah, now we're almost done. He does come with blast effects. He comes with 2 green versions of Siege Jetfire's blast effects. And as you would expect, they do work in the original cannons. They also do work in the DNA upgrade cannons, which I'm very glad for, because that would be a little disappointing. I don't normally use blast effects, especially for display, after what happened last time with them eating away at the paint of the ports they're plugged into. But I do like that the DNA kit can plug in there. And in addition to that, you can, of course, plug the blast effects into the V-Lock cannon or plug them over the tip of the other gun. So there is that. But of course, I prefer to, at least what I've been doing for the time being, because I didn't want to put everything away before the actual video. You can do the double blast effects on the cannons, and I think that looks cool. Okay, I'm done. I've done so much talking. This video is so long. So let's wrap this up with our last round of size comparisons. So let's get Victory Saber back there. And look at the camera. That's better. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. So there we've got Victory Saber, and bring in the last of our size comparisons. Art Fire and Ova Prime and Burnout and Samus. So yeah, the boots make him a lot taller. I mean, nothing else changes height-wise, it's just the boots. It's still pretty cool. It definitely messes with his proportions, though, because now he's got these enormous legs and enormous feet, but it kind of looks like the legs are, so much shin and very, very tiny thighs. And he already had a lot of shin before, but now it's woof. But there's that. Let's get all of you out of here. And all of you. I can't do a Victory Leo comparison anymore because Victory Leo has donated his body for the cause, but we can bring back Holi and Fire, because why not? So there they are with Victory Saber, and they are very tiny, and also they continue to be a disappointment. And for the big one, here we go. Victory Saber with Deathsaurus. And Victory Saber is a little bit taller, maybe a third of a head taller than, let's see if I can even this out a little bit more so you can kind of see things more from the angle I'm looking at it from. But yeah, Victory Saber is about a third of a head taller than Deathsaurus when fully combined. So that is how they stack up. They do look incredibly good together, I gotta say. I'm, as I've said, not a Victory Saber guy, not a Star Saber guy, but I'm very happy for the people who are being able to, get a figure like this if they had the opportunity. But even as not a Star Saber guy, I think this looks really cool. So I am happy. Though I'm still way more into Deathsaurus because Deathsaurus is just really freaking cool. And finally, after over 2 hours of filming, and it'll probably still be over 2 hours after editing, so I am very sorry, folks, for that, but hey, I get wordy. Here is Haslab Victory Saber with the duck tank. Spent over 2 hours recording the video on this guy and completely forgot to do the stand integration in robot mode, so we're going to do that real quick. There is very simple. There's just this peg up here, right here, that pegs into his butt right there. You just bring this in, peg that in, and that's all you got to do. Now he is pegged into his stand. He is a little bit wiggly because he's not quite touching the base, but there you go. There he is. He is on his stand now, and you can do flying things and whatnot. What I find I like to do with the stand, I like to keep him on the stand, but what I do is I bend the knees one click, because bending the knees one click basically adds like support, so you can see it's not wiggling anywhere near as much. So that one click just has the feet kind of touching the base just enough to keep him from being like super wiggly. But yeah, there you go. There's the stand in robot mode. You can do the same with Star Saber. It's just his feet stop here, and he doesn't have wings. Yeah, and that finally, at long last, does it for Haslab Victory Saber. I, as I've said, do like this guy quite a bit. He's got his issues, but he's still really cool. I feel like I didn't say too much about the combined mode, but like, I do like what Victory Leo adds. I like the over-the-shoulder cannons. I like the added height that you get, and like the booties, they're a little bit silly, but like they actually do kind of work. They don't look too terribly much like a horribly folded up robot that split in half and became shoes. It also helps that the toes on the boots are red, which are the same color as Star Saber's regular feet, so like that works. The wings that it adds are also cool, as well as the cannons, but like I do think the upgrade kit, I don't think it's a necessity, but I do think it makes the combined mode pop way more. Like the default wings are fine, the default cannons are fine. I would be completely happy having those, in addition to the default sword. But having the added wing length, having the longer sword blade, having the bigger cannons without the waffles on the bottom, just adds a little bit more oomph to the presentation of this guy. So, I would say if you have a Victory Saber, the DNA kits are definitely worth getting, but not essential. Just if you're interested, don't hesitate on getting them. If you don't care, then that's cool too. You're not really missing out on anything that's going to, like if you don't want it already, there's no reason to get it. It doesn't like make the figure better. It just makes a few aspects a little bit bigger. But yeah, this has been really cool, and I am so sorry it took me so long to record this, but hey, I did it. Just has so much more to go over than Deathsaurus. Deathsaurus only had 2 modes. But yeah, very glad I got this at regular price. I probably would have been maybe a little bit disappointed if I paid $350 or more for this. I mean, not like horribly dejected, but I would have been a little disappointed. But for the regular price that it originally went for, I am very happy. Especially because I can put him with Deathsaurus, or if you watch the collection tour, have him and Deathsaurus kind of flanking different parts of the collection. But that has been more than enough of what I have to say about this set. What do you all think of Haslab Victory Saber in any capacity? Whether it's the original release that was plagued with QC issues, or the secondary run that fixed a lot of those problems and was sent out as replacements to a lot of people. How you feel about the Haslab Vault thing that they did, all that stuff. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and I am going to drink a lot of water because my throat is dry.